Welcome to Landscapes and Structures. We'll uncover how city sustainability and design intersect to shape the future of our built environment. I'm Makayla.
And I'm Olivia. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of green roofs and rooftop gardens, what they are, why they matter, and how they're transforming the ecological and functional performances of cities.
Urban areas are expanding rapidly. Phoenix, for example, is losing 1.2 acres of open space every hour. That means fewer places for plants, animals, and people. The question is, if we're building over nature, can we build with it too?
Green roofs offer exactly that possibility, restoring ecological functions directly on top of buildings.
Before we talk about modern technology, let's look back. Green roofs aren't a new invention. They're a part of a deep architectural lineage.
Absolutely, Michaela. Some of the earliest versions were turf roofs in Nordic countries, going all the way back to the Bronze Age. These roofs were practical, strong insulation, weather resistant, and surprisingly energy efficient.
We then see rooftop gardens in Pompeii and medieval Europe, like the Guinigi Tower in Lucca, Italy, a structure still covered in oak trees today.
But the real turning point happened in 1960s Germany, when new waterproofing technologies made modern green roof feasible. Most of today's green roof designs trace back to those innovations.
Let's break down the three major types of green roofs. The first one is intensive green roofs. These are the large, fully designed rooftop landscapes with walking paths, shrubs, and sometimes small trees.
But they're heavy. They often require reinforced concrete decks and aren't ideal for buildings that are frequently modified. They're beautiful and functional, but definitely the most complex and costly.
This is why you will mostly find them on luxurious hotels or open space corporate buildings. The gardens provide a certain atmosphere that draw people in, which is good for both types of businesses, and the businesses can finance the maintenance required for this type of rooftop garden.
Now let's move on to simple intensive roofs. A middle ground system, shallower soil depths than intensive roofs, but still able to support a variety of plants.
They typically require irrigation, look fantastic from above, and this is due to the fact that these gardens are used the majority of the time for designs of a company's logo, an important symbol, and things of that nature. These gardens are also easier to retrofit. This means that they're the type of gardens that you want for buildings that have to be upgraded or changed or rebuilt often, or for buildings that are prone to natural disasters.
For extensive roofs, the most common and lightweight type, and their minimal soil and minimal maintenance.
Sedums and succulents dominate here. They're drought tolerant, easy to maintain, but they limit plant diversity. Still, hotels and urban retrofits love these due to the low weight and cost. Why does any of this matter? Well, green roofs simply make cities healthier, visually and psychologically.
And studies show that exposure to vegetation improves stress recovery, speeds healing, and boosts overall well being. They reconnect residents with nature, even several stories above the ground.
One of the ecological benefits is stormwater management. Green roofs retain 50 to 60% of rainfall, reducing runoff and easing pressure on stormwater systems.
Some storms are fully absorbed, which means zero runoff, which leads us into urban heat island mitigation. Cities store heat, and that means that plants counteract this through evapotranspiration.
Which is basically plants sweating and cooling the surrounding air, which also helps with air quality and noise reduction. These green roofs can filter particulates, trap heavy metals, and reduce noise by about 8 decibels.
These green roofs also support biodiversity. The green roofs create microhabitats, stepping stones for birds, insects, and pollinators. In fragmented urban environments, those patches really do matter.
There are also economic benefits, and the value of them is huge.
Definitely, Michaela. Green roofs bring up to 25% energy savings, as well as roof membranes lasting twice as long. This means a higher property value and increased worker productivity.
Plus tax incentives, everything from stormwater fee reductions to density bonuses. Which brings us to our next topic, policies around the world. Policy is one of the biggest drivers of green roof adoption. Switzerland's Swiss landscape concept requires federal buildings to integrate with natural surroundings, and Germany offers 25% to 100% subsidies. Germany has several subsidies for green roofs with significant programs at the city level in places like Berlin and Hamburg. These programs offer financial incentives, which includes grants covering a portion of installation costs or reduction in stormwater fees. which is a great incentive for businesses to include these green roofs.
That's right. As well as Asia. China pushed green roofs heavily before the 2008 Olympics, and Tokyo requires 20% green coverage on large buildings, or developers face annual fines.
North America is doing their part too. Toronto uses grants and planning agreements, while Portland mandates 70% of vegetation on new roofs. Chicago uses their grants and planning to focus on heat island reduction. They plan to use green infrastructure to target heat hotspots with vulnerable populations. However, New York City has enormous potential and a long way to go. 29% of rooftops are flat, and only 76,000 out of the 1 million buildings in the city have green roofs. There are many different great examples that they can look after, one being the A-Cross building in Fukuoka, Japan. It's a massive terrace green roof that's home to 76 different species in the shape of steps. It has public access while also being used as a rainwater reuse system. The building was designed with a green roof after the public demanded to conserve the city's last remaining downtown green space. That's when Emilio Espaz, the building's designer, came up with the idea of these steps that would have foliage spilling into the park that's down below. He wanted this to symbolize how we as people should be growing with nature and not against it.
As well as the Chicago City Hall. It was an early American example, and it also had 150 plus plant species, which is a lot of plants to be put on the top of a building. It was also installed for $45.50 a square foot.
Another example is a small building, the Life Expression Chiropractic Center in Pennsylvania. It's a lightweight rooftop garden and it's an example of extensive roof with simple plants. It's 28 pounds per square feet and only $7 per square foot. It's an easy rooftop garden to maintain. They added it to manage stormwater and conserve energy. They're the perfect example of how that no matter how small you are, you can still make an impact on your environment.
Another great example is the UC Davis Hunt Hall proposal. It was a 3,500 square foot sedum roof, and it costed $35,000 to install. Although the price was high, it's great for education on what these plants do for the people around them, and great for energy benefits, which is also great for the world.
We met with someone who has more vast knowledge on the subject, and she gave us just her own insight and her process behind her own green roof. So here she is.
Hello, my name is Honey Guzman. I'm a sophomore and my major is environmental and natural resources economics.
And how did you come about green roofs and learning about them?
So basically, I learned about green roofs in high school. I had met with some people that work for Green Step, and they were doing a meeting about how to make buildings more green, like having green roofs, and also having like trees and plants inside of the buildings. And I thought it was something really cool, so that's when I started my research about green rooftops, because it was something that I thought it was really helpful for the environment, but also for us as humans. And essentially, I made a proposal to my professor, and then came up with some ideas to do something green for our school.
Wow, that is so cool. What did you do? And were you the only one? Did you have people help you? What was it like?
So basically, after my proposal, he really liked the idea of having some kind of green in our roof. So since I went to a technical high school, my trade was environmental science, and it was around 24 of us for my grade. So all of us helped creating a green rooftops, and we had materials like plants, soil, wood that we can make pots, essentially to have in our roof, and have a little garden up there. And I thought it was very helpful because since I went to a technical high school, there was a lot of different trades welding, electrical, plumbing, and it was really big. So I was I feel like it was so much heat that we needed a way to decrease temperatures, and because it was essentially a building, I feel like there was nothing really green in it. So I just wanted to make some kind of difference so we could help the environment.
Well, I feel like that's such a great way of learning that's really hands-on, and you can see how your work and future work that you may have planned can really impact the environment and the difference that it makes. Do you feel like more schools should implement this like hands-on learning? And do you feel like other schools should try this green roof idea?
Yes. I feel like, especially the green roofs, I feel like if you apply it to different schools, especially technical high schools, it could be really good. Like, students could take on to do hands-on like a project, and essentially, if you do it slowly, then other people can start doing it, and maybe other states could start doing it, and it could be a way that you could help the environment, or also like reduce greenhouse emissions.
Yeah, and I feel like it could be beneficial to the students because they could maybe turn it into like a study area or an area where students can go to get work done. And that way they can be outside and kind of get that break from the stuffy classroom and just be able to breathe. And then they can go back to class and just be more refreshed and more ready to go. One of the things you may have encountered when you were doing your own planning of your green roof and just like the research is that it can be very expensive. Do you feel like the financial side, like the expenses, are worth the other benefits of a green roof?
I feel like yes. I feel like as long as you work with the materials that you already have, like I said, my trade, we already had like soil, we have plants, we have different materials that we could take into account. I feel like as long as you have something, and use it, it could really make a difference. Like, I know that school also, they have budgets that they could help students when they want to have different projects and want to start making different projects. So I feel like if we all as a community get involved and help, I feel like that could be really good. And also like doing fundraisers to so the public knows more about it, and they might be interested in it, so they could actually like come and help. I feel like that's really good for people to know.
Yeah, I feel like it's a great way to get the community together and to like bond over something and have an activity, and can like really help form human connection. Plus we have all this open space anyway, so it's like, why not use it to make our earth prettier and to like help our earth to survive all of the changes that we have and development that we make. Thank you so much for coming and like sharing your story with us and your feedback.
Thank you so much for having me. I just really wanted more people to know about why green rooftops are like essentially really important, and it could be really helpful to the environment. So I just really wanted to share my thoughts and opinions with other people.
Thank you, Luciani, for that insight. It really helped us understand more, and we're so happy to have your professional opinion and your professional point of view. Now we're going to move on to the next segment. David Strader's work emphasizes that green roofs aren't just technological features. They represent a conceptual shift. They recast buildings as active ecological participants.
Exactly. Green roofs become ecological repair patches, functioning ecosystems uplifted into urban airspace.
They moderate heat, filter pollutants, retain water, support biodiversity, and soften the city's footprint. They transform dead services into living infrastructure.
And as cities grow, this is essential, not optional. Green roofs help guide us towards cities that function more like ecosystems rather than machines. From cooling neighborhoods to supporting urban wildlife, green roofs offer a blueprint for cities that are healthier, smarter, and more resilient.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Check out local green roof initiatives in your area. You might be surprised at what already exists.